All right, folks. Good afternoon. Dr. Ken Daniels, and this is the Daniels Foundation for Impact Investment Development. The Daniels Foundation for Impact Investment Development. We're here in sunny Florida, and it's been a while since we've been online. And I really apologize, but I had some chronic heart failure, and I had to move, and had some personal issues with the ladies and stuff, and it was just a mess, guys. But I'm back now, and I want to give you an update on what the foundation is doing. Foundation is doing fabulous. Thanks to your support. And we got a lot of stuff going on. We'll give you an update. We got books coming out. We got documentaries coming out. We got music coming out. We're doing writing books, uh, all kinds of academic books. We write novels, and I'll give you all update on all that stuff here tonight. And I just want to give you a picture of our surroundings here. You know, we're here in sunny Florida, and I hate to say it, but this beats Newark. So everybody's down saying Ken Daniels is doing bad and all that kind of stuff, and I'm all messed up and all that talking stuff. Don't know what they're talking about. I'm blessed. Blessed, got good friends. Want to say hello to my good friend Mike Graves. Hey Mike, how you doing? Minister Graves, fish, fish fro, free fro. That's my man. Mike Graves set me straight, man. He said, look, man, Ken, you gotta focus on you. Want to say a shout out to my sister, Siobhan Gaines. Siobhan keeps saying, look, Ken, gotta focus on you. Got to forget these folks because the folks is crazy, man. Got to focus on yourself first, guys. And then once you get yourself first, then you can reach out and help others. And that's what we do here at the Daniels Foundation. We want to help others, but I can't help anybody else. I can't help myself. And as you can see, I'm doing pretty good. I ain't doing too bad here, you know. Sitting here just chilling out, sitting here by the pool, get in. So let's jump right on in. I want to say wish out to my friend Greg Schnitzler. Greg is going through some issues there. Greg is writing his book on black capitalism, and every now and then we do a series together on black capitalism. Where Greg wrote his book, and I wrote a new book, and I wrote several books, and they'll be coming out individually. My next book I want to talk about first is called Black Camelot. What has happened? What happened? What happened? Where black exceptionalism led the world. What happened when black exceptionalism led the world? That's a mouthful. You know, what is Black Camelot? What's Black exceptionalism? What's that mean for now? What's that mean for the future? What does that mean for us as a people? Because we're at the point now where we're at a crossroads or a fulcrum of stuff going on where we now have artificial intelligence. We have political aspirations of different parties trying to dig their heels in and get advantages. We have economic problems. We have the dollar maybe not being the world reserve again. We have acceleration of technology. We have bad schools. I have a documentary coming out on the reading problem in the Eastern school system. So we have to pretty get our act together real soon because now it's coming a time where it's going to be some real consequence for those that are not prepared. You know, when the storm comes through, you got to be prepared. And those are prepared, you know, the storm comes through, they have a little bit of damage, they clean it up, they move on. Those are not prepared, the storm rips up the house, blows the house floating down the river, and therefore they're lost, maybe dead. So it's possible that you know we could talk about certain races being distinct as time goes on because you know uh, black people are at the low on the bottom of the totem pole in terms of a lot of things going on in the world, and we talk about distinction for the black man as we know him. You know, in terms of can't, and that's I mean that relatively because if you're not working, you're not progressing, you're not moving forward. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And in every kind of measurable statistic that we could think about, African Americans are on the bottom. There's a health gap, there's an income gap, there's a reading gap, there's a health gap, all these gaps, meaning that we got to make up ground. Some people say we need reparations and all these things here, but that's not coming for a while. So we got to get our act together. And the Daniels Foundation is here to make an impact on getting our act together. So I know I'm excited tonight. Excited to see you guys. Just want to talk, maybe do 30 minutes, half hour, depends upon what we get into in terms of what's going on in terms of our summary here. Let me first talk about the book, Black Camelot. What happened such that Black exceptionalism led the world? And so let's first talk about Camelot. Before we get to Black Camelot, let's talk about Camelot. Camelot was a time period referred to the Kennedys, the 1960s, in terms of the feel-good economy. It was Route 66. Uh, essentially, everybody was getting a house and a picket fence and two kids. It was one of those things where good times were rolling in because essentially, white America had prepared itself in terms of being educated. You had good morals, and they went to church. It was everybody was getting married and having babies, and the population was growing, and uh, certain races were being pulled into the mainstream for primarily the Irish. As you know, the Kennedys were Irish, and the Irish were the lowest of the totem pole. Someone was telling me the other day, Irish were just like blacks. Well, in the American economy back in there, that when they first came into the uh, United States, Italians weren't accepted Irish. That's why you had Italian gangs, Irish gangs, and Irish were treated just as bad as blacks. In fact, we know that they had the potato famine. They was coming over just for eating potatoes. So, as the Kennedys was a major step forward for America in terms of Irish Americans being accepted in terms of being accepted to the mainstream, because Italians had already been accepted. We already know about the Protestants have been accepted. And we all know so that the blacks were not accepted in terms of, we know there was a race rise in the 1960s. The whole civil rights movement was trying to get blacks equal rights. And it was a very tumultuous time period. I remember the New York riots. So it was tumultuous, but it also was very interesting because America was moving forward, coming out of the Industrial Revolution, moving to more of a smokestack economy to a service economy. Corporate America was growing. Certain ceilings were being broken, and that's what kind of Camelot kind of represented: the breaking of a lot of glass ceilings, a lot of representation. Look at that plane taking off. Boy, I tell you, it's an exciting time to be alive, boy. It's like to be alive. So you can tell I'm alive here. I'm doing things, doing good things. And so what I do in this book, I turn around and I flip that and say, well, what does that mean for Black America? What did Camelot mean for Black America? Because it was something very similar that Black America was coming alive in terms of the 1960s, the civil rights movement. Blacks were making progression in sports. About essentially Kurt Flood and Willie Mays and Hank Aaron. Clearly sports and basketball, Willis Reed and Bill Russell and Kim Abdul-Jabbar. And then in the arts, we're just taking over to Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier, Bill Cosby. All these guys were leaders in terms of the world was looking at us saying, well, wow, what's going on there? Let's go to America. If the blacks is doing well, we can do well. And so the fact that blacks were doing well was a signal to the world that America was the place to be. And you have to think about it, that if we had all these successful people, where did they come from? Well, they came from the great American black civilizations or black towns. I came from East Orange, New Jersey. It was a great black town. We had a black mayor. We had essentially a black police chief, black fire officer. Our schools were good. Families were good. Everybody pretty much came from a two married household family. Even those that didn't, everybody was dressed well. We had those that had poverty, but it wasn't overwhelming poverty. We had Althea Gibson. She represented a Hallmark of East Orange. This is my hometown. Althea Gibson's from my hometown. Whitney Houston from my hometown. John Amos from my hometown. Think about that. Naughty by Nature's from my hometown. Queen Latifah's really important. She's got a North East Orange address there in terms of she's North East Orange. Lauren Hill, Clyde Bradshaw basketball, Gary Garland basketball. All these things in terms of East Orange represent exceptionalism in terms of being excellent. So, it's one of those things where you say, wow, how did that happen? Well, it didn't happen by chance. It came from a system of families, of a organic structure of a community, particularly represented by something I call WP, which is Washington Park. We had one of the greatest park systems in the country in East Orange. That we had a little league system, we had a basketball system, we had 8-foot basketball, all these things there. So, it's just amazing that where we came from in terms of there was a will or a desire to be excellent, not just average, and to excel in the world marketplace. That when you left East Orange, you were going to be something to be reckoned with. That you essentially were going to be, person that was going to be competitive. You were going to bring the juice, and even if you didn't make it, you gave your best. And one of those things that everybody knew what the expectation was. There was no second best. So that means that the norm, everyone knew that the norm for community was essentially was being exceptional. And exceptional means excellence. And that means the dedication of getting up every day, showing up every day, going to work every day, going to school every day. We're making sure that you are in a situation that you're being cognizant of what's expected of you, being respectful, not being a hardhead. So a lot of things have been lost in our community in terms of what it means to be exceptional, what's to be expected of you. A lot of these kids feel that they are privileged, that they don't have to abide by the rules, and that's just not the case. Everyone has to abide by the rules. So as you can see on my site, so Black Camelot goes into that. It then goes into some of the sociological factors that play in that, because I'm an economist or a finance person, that plays into, why that might be the case. So we talk about essentially some of the demographics. I wish I could read some of the chapter here, but again, that's for you to see. The book cover is just off the chart, and goes into what that means in terms of the architecture of a community where reading is fundamental. And when you have dysfunctional reading, which is what we now have in the school system, that bites away at the architecture or the infrastructure that leads to exceptional behavior and performance. You can't have. It's okay. It felt good. It's it's okay. It felt good. It felt good. Enjoy yourself. Don't worry about me. Yeah. So so again, we're talking about infrastructure, just like the infrastructure for a highway, there's infrastructure for communities. You need good schools. You need good teachers. You got to have essentially good books. You have to have essentially tutors. You have to have essentially people that know how to teach math, teachers that know how to keep computers. You have to have crossing guards, people that get to school safe. So this is all the infrastructure that's built up and that's supposed to be done by the Board of Education. And we now have a systemic failure in the Eastern school system in terms of what it's supposed to provide, and also in terms of output, which we know the one output is the reading. It's pretty clear that there is dysfunctional behavior and a reading failure, a systemic failure that needs to be taken over by the state of New Jersey. So you're hearing it here first. We don't want to point fingers. We're not saying anyone's to blame, but we can't allow these kids to not read and go into society thinking that they're going to be successful. And to tolerate it and to not do anything is just not the right thing to do. So hopefully you'll join me when we put the documentary out there. You take a look at the website, which is daniels-foundation.org, and take a look at some things that we're doing out there in terms of trying to send the message that essentially that we have to be exceptional because we have to fill these gaps. And you don't fill the gaps by being normal or being average. You got to be above average, be above normal to fill the gaps, because we need essentially superstars and winners, and the foundation tries to put in place that we can put in place and find. We can cherry pick those people and train them so they'll stay in our community, not be taken away to be worker of the communities, which usually happens. They find the best and the brightest, and there's a brain drain from the African American communities to other communities. So that's one thing that the book does. It puts in place, takes a look at certain problems, certain issues, and tries to offer a realistic solution. It then goes into some of the things about the dynamics of economics in terms of what we mean by this whole artificial intelligence economy, digitization of the of currencies and things, and what that's going to mean for common folk in terms of substitution effects, productivity effects, and that's going to have an overwhelming impact on the employment rate or unemployment rate in the minority community. It's going to lead to a redirection of resources in terms of what's going to be required for training, and it's going to be major. And we got to get ready for it. There's no way other way around it. If we're not ready for it, then we're behind it, and that's not things that we want to do. So we're just kind of going back into what happened with the book there, and hope you'll take a look at it. And it's got a fantastic cover. I put the cover out there on the website when I do when I post this here. We're not going to do any more live podcasts. It doesn't really do anything for us. We don't really have a overwhelming live audience. We like to get a live audience, but hopefully you guys will see these podcasts. You'll tune into them. You'll see that I'm doing good work. Hopefully you'll hit the donation button on the website, because essentially none of these things doesn't happen without money. Can't travel, can't go places, can't be with people if you don't have money. It's not me looking out here trying to get a $50 steak. You just got to get there. Travel's expensive. You know, it's either gas in the car or you got to get on the plane. $100, $200 plane flights. That's just the way it is. And I can't do it all on my own budget. So hopefully you'll think about donating to the Daniels Foundation. That's at danielsfoundation.org. And we're doing good things. And we got a book coming out. Got a new math book coming out. I'm in Kenya, doing work in Kenya. We're out there working with a nice graduate student in Kenya called Jeff Gatanga. And Jeff and I have wrote a new math book. And we're going to use it first in Kenya in terms of polishing it. It's a very innovative math book. It's more on applications. It's more on the meaning of math. It all starts with stories. Every chapter starts with a story, doesn't even talk about math. And we talk about basically the way that you read any book. You read a book by getting familiar with the story, getting familiar with terminology. And then we start to do certain manipulations that makes a person think about what it means to be manipulating numbers, or what is a number? How does a number change things? What's it between one number and the next one, which is called the change, the delta. And we do that by talking about the first chapter is about the foreign exchange rate. It's about a little kid going to Mexico, and he has to talk about the dollar relative to the currency and how those two relate to as a comparison in terms of whether it's at par or below par or at a premium above par. There goes another plane there. Look at that. Jesus Christ. That's Frontier. You know, so here in sunny Tampa, here all things are going on, and hope you guys are enjoying this podcast. I'm enjoying myself talking to you. Peace. Ken D's out here doing this thing. Could be no better. I got my new place in Tampa. Wonderful. Got nice people over there. Got the pool table set up, just chilling, and still maybe gonna still want to come to Jersey. I'm gonna partner with my home Union Baptist Church. So I think Keisha Harris is out there doing wonderful things. And hopefully she'll be the new minister of Union Baptist. I come home and do some great things there in terms of working with the kids, doing math and science, and doing the foundation out of Jersey and Florida. That's the will and the wish. But again, can't do it by myself. Need you guys. And I'm feeling better. Haven't had the hip surgery yet, but my body's feeling good. Things are going well. And I don't know if I'm gonna have the surgery or not, but I'm moving in that direction. But if I keep moving, getting stronger, I may not need the surgery because I'm up walking without the cane, and I'm pretty much getting back in shape. I lost about 40 pounds, and just doing good, man. Just doing real good. Can't complain. Got good people in my life. Got good people around me, and just really, really, really feeling good. And can't thank enough. Can't thank God in terms of what God has done for me. God has blessed me. Get up and read the Bible every morning, and just sit here and enjoy and being thankful that went to Tom Morell's funeral. So folks is dying. Went to Tom's funeral, went to Lenny Clark's funeral, and those things touched me. You know, they were good guys, but they're no longer here. You know, and so we're at the point now we have to ask ourselves, why are we here? You know, we still here. Lenny's gone. I mean, Lenny served his purpose. Tom is gone. That means Tom has served his purpose. One day you say Ken is gone, so Ken has served his purpose. So what is your purpose? And my purpose is to get, you know, this book in front of young kids to essentially make sure they're prepared for the AI economy. It's hard work. You know, kids had hard enough just understanding math. Now we have to talk about them understanding AI and a computer. That's a leapfrog jump in terms of people's understanding. Now it can be done positively, and it can be helpful because again, they may not have to do as much because AI does a lot for you. But yeah, you don't want something to do for you, not understand it or be able to manipulate it or the commander be the commander and not the commando. So that's a good thing to think about, is that you want to be in command of AO, not AI in command of you. And I want you guys to think about that, because if you're not on your P's and Q's, AI will command you because it knows everything, does everything. All it needs is somebody to hit the button. And sometimes it's going to get to the point where it's going to hit the button itself because it's going to be hooked up to robotics and stuff. And so therefore it's going to be in motion. It's not just going to be AI behind a computer. It's going to be a moving target that's going to be able to essentially simulate human life. And that's the goal, that, you know, that we may not have enough population to do certain things that we know. So we need to simulate that to do certain functions that man may not be able to do himself. So let me go to a little rundown what we did for the year. I put out a little 65-year statement, In a 65-year statement, we're going to know all the things that the foundation did this year. I touched on some of them. One, we put out another documentary or short film, a spoken word film called No Tears. In that, we talk about male sexual assault. That's out there on YouTube. You guys want to take a look at it. And I won't go into too much detail because I'm just giving you the breakdown and wrap up. But in that, we go through what it means to go through trauma. How do you survive trauma? And then how do you come out on the other side? We do all that through spoken word. I commissioned 4 or 5 poems. One was done by Calvin Powell, a young lady from England. F.E. Phoney, she's out there on YouTube where she does her own film, her poem. And then I do my poem, which is essentially as I look in the mirror to wrap it up in terms of talking about the walking through the valley of death in Habakkuk. What that means is pretty deep. I don't think that the spoken word film's got enough exposure yet. What out there was out there on YouTube. But if you take a look at it, start pushing it, it could be really helpful for some youth. And all we need to do is be helpful for one person. That's all it is. Okay, next thing that we popped up there is that we did a documentary on the reading crisis in East Orange. I already touched on this a little bit, so I won't belabor it again. But we kind of went to East Orange, just spent some time there, talked to a lot of different folks, looked at the community, and tried to assess why. The buildings look good, the teachers look good, but the performance is not good. And we have to ask it, why is that? And what is we're going to do about it in terms of making sure that we have performers and not non-performers in terms of the reading crisis in East Orange, New Jersey. Okay, next thing that came up, we put out the original book, No Tears, and that's out there on Amazon for sale. And I already talked about Black Camelot. And then we went into some other books that I wrote, the 2 other books. One is going to be a book about Black capitalism, and it talks about the digital economy through time. We'll have a conversation with W.E.B. Du Bois. And that's really exciting because in that case there, I get to talk about Du Bois, Talented 10, double consciousness, and what top technology is going to mean for African Americans in the 21st century in terms of, can it be African Americans bringing, again, swag to technology and take it to another level, or is it going to be to our detriment? And we talk about that in a very racial tones, because in fact it is in terms of, we know that AI is kind of biased against African Americans in terms of its exposure to our appearance, such like that. They may not draw us as nice or look as nice as others because they just don't have the data. It's all about data, data, data. These are big data models. They train and train and train, and they come back with very insightful solutions at very fast rates in terms of this artificial intelligence. And they call these chat models, Chat GPT, Claude, and Ninja, and all these things. A lot of people don't know what I'm talking about. But all these things are something that we have to reckon with as we kind of get ready for the 21st century. We talk about that in a very friendly manner in that book, Black Capitalism. The last book is something called W3, stands for Washington Playground, and is a national model for Black community development. That's the title. And in that book, I go into what it means to be where we have disparate treatment in terms of playgrounds, in terms of certain areas having better playgrounds than others. Well, Washington Playground was a blacktop playground where we were disadvantaged, but we overcame that. And I asked the question, why didn't we get into this disparate treatment behavior and bad performance? And that we had this one playground where we had this upper class Black community exposed to the same bad conditions, but they did not fall prey to these bad conditions and cry wolf and wallow in the fact that they didn't have good things. They just sucked it up, played on blacktop, played football on blacktop, played baseball on blacktop, were very competitive in terms of producing of some outstanding individuals. Darryl Harris went on to play baseball at Florida State and the University of Cincinnati. Ken Fisher came out of there, went to play at Essex County College at Fairfield University. I did the same thing. I went to play at Fairfield University. We own Robert Cole. Robert Cole started at Washington Playground. Robert Cole went on to play at LIU. And others, Ron Harris played there, went on to play at Cleveland State. And some others there went on to play good basketball. In terms of Travis Brown, was a all-county performer at Clifford Scott, and so on. And so a lot of people did very good there. And I'm not overlooking the women, where again, Stacey Harrison went on to play basketball at one of the private schools out there. I think it was Mary Lawn or something like that. I don't know the exact school she went to. So we have representation all over the place in terms of color guards and cheerleaders. Joyce Bowen, those guys were cheerleaders. Everybody's an outstanding student. Lenny Carp went on to play football, went on to have a very good career at UBS. And so these are things that we can't overlook, all from one little playground. And again, overcoming the odds of all these things here. We don't forget about Mike McNair. Mike was an outstanding mentor for us and did certain things to show us the way, sacrificed his time and energy. And we thank Mike for what he did there in terms of Washington Playground, what I call WP. And can't forget John Thurman. John Thurman and the Sweeneys. Donald Howard became a very successful engineer. And I can go on and on and on and on in terms of people that came out of Washington Playground, from Mark Copeland, Tony Harris, Brian Dasher, and we had Carl Bradshaw. In fact, we might be calling Clyde Bradshaw because Clyde used to come up to East Orange and we used to beat up on Clyde. That's how he became a good defensive player. He learned to play defense at Washington Playground. So, we had Ricky Bradshaw. They was doing X Games before there was X Games. And so it was just a fantastic time. So that was what WP was all about. So, we then go on to some of the things that we do in terms of digital assets. Again, we're doing music. Released my daughter's song, I Miss You, Not Invisible, You Don't Know. We're doing a remake of I Miss You by Miss Tameka DAWN. She's a well-known artist out of Atlanta. So you'll be hear about that coming up. We got a couple of films coming out. We're going to do an Avatar film. We have our production company in India doing an Avatar film on No Tears. It's going to do maybe once also on Black Camelot. And finally, but last, we have a cartoon where we have Amari, who's a female superhero, and she's going to use math as her weapon of superhero to pretty much beat all odds. So we've got a lot going on. Again, I already mentioned the book. We have the math book coming out. And I want to quickly mention my good friend, Demisal Jara. Demisal Jara, who's a professor at the University of New Haven, he's come on board. And so we have it where myself, Demisal, and Jeff are going to do a financial management textbook that's going to be aimed at the high school level. So we've got a lot of good things going on. And I'm going to get back out there and start doing some tutoring, trying to get into all the things that we're doing. So, okay, I think I'm gonna call it all right. That probably brings up hopefully about a half hour, just getting back in the swing here. And you guys know that I love you. Hopefully you love me. And let's keep it going. I try to do these every Monday. I try to sit down, give you at least a minimum of a half hour, give you update what the foundation is doing. But again, we're down here in sunny Florida. So KD is doing all right. It ain't all that bad. Okay. So I'm going to call it a wrap. And if you got any questions on the foundation, you can hit it at the daniels-foundation.org. We got our e-commerce site out there. That's going to be back up and in. Go out there and buy a sweatshirt or a hat. They're very nicely weighed. And we've got a nice little logo out there. And we're going to be doing good things. So peace. Hopefully things are well. And talk to you soon.